Welcome to Common Cocktails. I'm your host, R.O.C.K.S, and today I'm going to give you 3 whiskey sipping selections. Yes, I wrote it that way on purpose. So as the weather gets a little bit colder, I start to get a little bit less into the Tiki and a little bit more into like the warming spirits and the warming drinks, you know, where you could just like sit by the fireplace and just maybe a little glass of whiskey or something while you're watching the fire. But I'm just too lazy because then I have to like start the fire, and that means I have to get wood and it's cold outside. So I wanted to share with you these 3 whiskeys, and I actually have a couple other tips that I'd like to put in there for your shopping list. You know, the holidays are coming, so you gotta prepare. And when I sip my whiskey, I really don't like it to be too cold because, again, it's cold outside. I'm from New England, so I don't like too much ice in my spirits. And that's where R.O.C.K.S whiskey chilling stones come in. Why? Because I don't want things too cold, and I don't want a lot of additional dilution. I want to be able to control the dilution. And too much ice makes me think of summer, and summer's far away. That makes me sad. Plus, it doesn't hurt that R.O.C.K.S whiskey chilling stones sponsored the episode. So let's get our glass out here. And then we're gonna pick a stone. Now listen, there's lots of whiskey stones on the market. Most of them are kind of like that cheap off-brand soap stones. They chip easy. I don't want subpar products. Plus, these are carved and polished nice and round, so they look cool. And if you're gonna be drinking whiskey on the rocks, it should probably look fancy. And I mean, I got nothing else going for me, so I'm looking for some fancy. They use a good polishing technique, so the stones, they don't have any chips, gouges, or scratches. And their stones are made from granite. And I'm from New Hampshire, so I know granite. Just Google it. You'll understand. Links in the description if you want to go out to Amazon and pick yourself up a gift set for mom, dad, probably dad, uncle, if I'm in your family, me. You can also go to R.O.C.K.S.com, link below. There you can save 10% off your first order if you wish to. So my first selection is Elijah Craig's Small Batch 1789 Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey. This guy, I believe, won when we did our blind tasting or came really close. It's very hard to pick one specific bourbon that you really like, but it's one that I typically prefer over and over again. I like it in cocktails. I like it straight up. It's not too potent like Knob Creek Single Barrel, which I also like, but at 120 proof, this goes beyond where I like to sip. Also, my personal preferences, I like a couple dashes of water. I know you thought I was going to say bitters. Water helps open up the bouquet, brings out some of the aromas. And this isn't specifically for tasting. Like if I'm doing a blind tasting, this isn't the glassware I'd use. But if I'm doing a relaxed chill by the fire that I didn't start, this is more of the presentation I'm looking for. This bourbon has that dry, oaky, buttery, a little bit of butter, but still the dryness from the alcohol, because it's so strong, it starts to absorb almost instantaneously. Whoa, maybe I'm already drunk. Almost instantaneous on the tongue. And it leaves it with like a little fresh cut oak, little vanilla flavor. Definitely warming. The second one I have, I'm not going to taste them all because I'll show you and present to you what the specific product are as we go. But the second one I'd like to try because it's fun and exciting is Dalwinnie Highland Scotch 15. Now, whiskey chilling stones are not meant to be like ice. Ice will chill fairly quickly. It brings it down to a lower cold temperature, which I'm not necessarily always looking for. The dilution tends to be a little high. If you've ever read Liquid Intelligence or some of the other books published, one of the key factors of ice is there's no chill without dilution. The problem with a lot of presentations, especially with whiskey, is people love to jam that big circular ice ball in there, which it is impressive, except for the fact that most of it's not in your liquid. And if it's not in your liquid, it's actually not chilling your drink. What it's doing is it's melting the ice on the top as it evaporates. It's chilling the air, and then the water falls into your drink, creating a high dilution factor. If you're drinking like I do, which is to sip it over time, I end up with more water, and eventually it's almost like when you get to the bottom of like a Coke from the restaurant or a fast food, if you've ever still eat fast food, and you get that like massive amount of ice and you end up with like this watery soda and it's kind of gross. The last thing I want to do is do that to a whiskey, especially when I'm spending $30 on an Elijah Craig, almost double for Dalwinnie, I believe is around $60. So my selection from a bourbon standpoint is middle of the road, cost-wise, bourbon was something I enjoy. Then a higher end Scotch, because it's very hard to find a $30 Scotch, and when you do, it's probably not one you're going to be sipping anyway. Bourbon lovers, I think the Elijah Craig is going to be nice. If you're into Scotch or you want to experiment with Scotch, Dalwinnie's a good winner to start with. So the Scotch has that like slight peaty smokiness, but it's not like Lafroig. I don't want a campfire in my mouth. I think that Dalwinnie's a nice meet in the middle approach where it's not too smoky and it's not bourbon. It doesn't have the same level of sweet that you could get out of a bourbon. The 15-year-old, not really a mixer, kind of a sipper, but it's also not a murder your wallet up at the 17, 18 and older Scotches, which will go for $120, $130 a piece for a bottle, not a drink. Now, if you wanted to jump up from like the 60 to the 80, Bar and Ishka is another selection that I would prefer to drink if I'm sitting by that infamous fire that doesn't exist. Bar and Ishka has more of a balance between that Scotch. Not quite a bourbon, but it's an Irish whiskey. So if you're used to your Jamesons and stuff like that, it's kind of like a elevated version of that with a little bit more of that peatiness that you might get out of that Dalwhinnie 15. That is why this would be a sipper if you're looking for things for the holidays to give to your dad, your uncle, your wife. If your wife's into whiskey. I don't know a lot of women who like whiskey, but you know what? If you're a woman watching this video, right below, tell us if you enjoy whiskey and what brand you like. Recommend it to my audience. Do my job for me. But I also would be remiss. Is that how you say that? I would be remiss if I did not mention to you a couple of the other things that fall outside of the whiskey category, but are something I would recommend that you purchase because it's a good tasting experience, especially around the holidays where you're willing to spend a little bit more money on yourself or maybe your family, whatever your excuse has to be. I would go with a Penny XO Blue. This is a Mauritian rum. You can see it's aged. Boom. You can see it now. Fantastic single barrel. Yep, single estate, whatever. It's like drinking a whiskey for rum lovers. And then if you're into more of the tequila or the agave, Montelobos Tobala, which is, the Tobala is a higher rare breed of agave. Now that's going to bring your smoke. It's going to bring your standard Mezcal flavor. Elevated, $100. We have a review. Penny Blue in the $80 range, so these guys compare to each other. Let's try this one more time. It's a little colder now because, I gave it a time to actually rest and relax and chill a little bit. So the presentation of these glasses is freaking awesome. Comes with your gift case. So you get your glasses, you get your stones, you get your nice little product explanation with hardwood. Tells you how to drink, which I'm going to be honest with you, that's the easy part. Never drink another diluted whiskey again. Save the ice balls for Tiki cocktails. Also, you can follow these guys on Instagram. It's R.O.C.K.S or at R.O.C.K.S, the Instagram thing. They've also got some fantastic glasses, which I think I'm going to just kind of leave upstairs next to my computer while I work, just for water. It's a great gift for your whiskey lovers, and if you were to purchase this from me, Mezcal lovers. If you want yet another product that you could try, look for Roaming Man. This is Tennessee straight rye whiskey. This is a sample only. It's just probably really expensive. Aged 3 years, 2 months. Batch 5, 6, 7, 8. Batch 8. Roaming Man, if you want to check it out. They don't get as much of a props for this episode because, you only get a small mention if you send me a small bottle. That's it, my friends. Now you have all the products that you should be purchasing for your family, yourself, for the holidays, especially if you've got a couple people coming over. I know it's probably going to be a smaller holiday this year. And you've got your R.O.C.K.S whiskey chilling set. So that completes. The only thing you really need after that is some water or none. And if you're like me, you're thinking, this is how I'm going to start my holiday shopping when I'm buying on the internet this year. You can go shopping on your Amazons and all the websites that you want to go to, and you can be sipping whiskey at the exact same time. That is what we call freedom. Sidebar, more videos. I'm gonna make them whiskey related because, and you know what? Maybe a second one just for Mezcal because I'm pushing it. You're gonna love this stuff. That's it. We're teaching you how to drink.